Turaco Gold is a gold explorer in Cote d'Ivoire, listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. It's a fairly new company. It was previously known as Managed Resources with a small exploration position in Cote d'Ivoire, but recently we undertook a transformational acquisition where we acquired a significant ground position in Cote d'Ivoire from our major shareholder, Resolute Mining. And that involved an acquisition of over 6,000 square kilometres, which combined with the company's existing position in Cote d'Ivoire, takes our position in the country to over 8,000 square kilometres of prospective Bermudian greenstone belt, making us, Turaco Gold, the largest exploration landholder in Cote d'Ivoire, which we see as an emerging jurisdiction and a country where we'll see several world-class discoveries over the coming years. Across that large portfolio, there's a number of core projects for the company in the northern part of Cote d'Ivoire. These are the Bundiali Gold Project, the Furky Gold Project, and the Tongan North Project, all located within about 100 kilometres of each other. We have a fourth project which is emerging in the centre of Cote d'Ivoire called the Erbunia Project, which I'll touch on a bit later. And then outside of that, we have extensive positions across other Bermudian greenstone belt locations in Cote d'Ivoire, which will undertake reconnaissance exploration over the next 6 to 12 months, but our focus will remain on those core projects. The board and management of Turaco Gold has significant experience with gold exploration companies and significant success, particularly in West Africa. So myself, prior to Turaco Gold, ran a company called Exor Resources, which we discovered the Antoinette and Veronique deposits in northern Cote d'Ivoire before the company was acquired by Perseus Mining in a takeover last year. And it was after that completion of that takeover by Perseus that I joined the board of Turaco Gold. Our chairman, John Fitzgerald, recently came onto the board as our chair, and he was also the non-executive chair of Exor, so someone I've worked with extensively in the past. Other directors include Alan Campbell, as a non-executive director. Alan ran a company called Papillon Resources, which was responsible for the discovery of the world-class Fekola gold deposit in Mali, which is now owned by B2 Gold. And then our other directors was David Kelly, who's just actually been substituted for Bruce Mowat as a non-executive director and the representative of our major shareholder, Resolute, who has a 20% shareholding. Our technical team is led by Elliot Grant, who once again was part of the Exor team and has extensive experience in West Africa and understands the geology of West Africa as well as anyone. So the company is capitalised at around $30 to $35 million. We're reasonably well funded with about $6 million in the bank, and that is net of completing the acquisition of this large portfolio from Resolute. So well funded, and we've commenced drilling immediately, and we'll look to define resources very quickly, as I'll touch on. I've already mentioned our major shareholders, so Resolute with 20%, and then management has just under 10% on a diluted basis. So just quickly touching on Cote d'Ivoire, as I said, it's a country that we're very familiar with, having operated in the country previously and had significant success in the country. It's one country in West Africa that has experienced an extended period of political stability over the last 10 years. From a geological point of view, it actually has a greater percentage of the mapped Bermudian greenstone belt than its neighbouring countries, yet it hasn't had the same exploration focus and therefore hasn't had the same discoveries like you've seen in Mali, Burkina Faso and Ghana. But in recent times, given the stability in the country and how easy it is to operate in the country, we're seeing significant growth in exploration and many new discoveries have been made over the last couple of years. And there's now 6 gold mines in production and a number of other projects which are at feasibility stage, with several well-known companies now operating in the country. And I would consider Cote d'Ivoire to be really the preferred jurisdiction in West Africa now and going forward. There's a very favourable tax regime to develop projects, but importantly for us is the exemption on VAT at an exploration stage. So we don't need to pay VAT on our exploration expenses, which is a significant saving. And the government is very supportive of permitting discoveries and getting them into production. So just turning to our projects, as I mentioned, our focus is essentially on the northern part of Cote d'Ivoire. You can see here our extensive land holdings throughout the country. But in this inset box there, you can see our three key projects in the north: the Bundiali project, where we have a 89% interest in; the Tongan North project, which is majority 100% owned by Turaco Gold; and then slightly out to the east, the Furky Gold project, where we also have an 89% interest in that. Previous drilling undertaken on the Bundiali project and the Furky project by a company called Turaco Gold, which Resolute actually acquired 2 years ago. The drilling undertaken by Turaco, both the Bundiali and the Furky deposits, just before they were acquired by Resolute, resulted in significant gold discoveries at both of those projects. So 2 gold discoveries ready for immediate drilling and resource drilling, which is what we've already embarked on. Since Resolute took over Turaco Gold 2 years ago, there's been no drilling to follow up the success that Turaco had at both of these projects. So a very exciting opportunity for a company like Turaco to be able to get our hands get a hold of such exciting and advanced exploration projects. And then our Tongan North project to the north is a very large, earlier stage, but contiguous, consolidated exploration package of nearly 2,000 square kilometres, covering a majority of the centrifuge greenstone belt located between the Tongan operation of Barracks and up to the Burkina Faso border. So you can see the location, just zooming in on those projects. Our Bundiali project, if I touch on first, is located on the Syama Bundiali greenstone belt. This belt hosts world-class deposits such as Syama in Mali to the north, and Resolute's Tabakoroni deposit. And then as we come into Cote d'Ivoire, it has not seen a huge amount of exploration across this belt, but what exploration has been undertaken has been very successful. So we have the Sissingi operation of Perseus, which is in production, producing about 120,000 ounces per annum, and it's a very profitable mine for Perseus. And then to the south of that was the Antoinette discovery of Exor Resources, which the same team of Turaco made that discovery before that was acquired by Perseus, and they're just completing a feasibility study on that project at the moment. And then immediately to the south is this ground of Bundiali that Turaco now has ownership of. And then further to the south again is a company called Montage Gold, which has discovered the Coney deposit, which there is 3 million ounces, but I believe they just put out an updated resource to over 4 million ounces. And there's been, outside of those few companies, there's been next to no exploration undertaken across this belt. So it's a very prospective yet underexplored belt in northern Cote d'Ivoire, and it's a belt that the Turaco team understands very well, having operated right next door at the Antoinette deposits. And as I mentioned, the Tongan portfolio, which covered the Tongan North portfolio, which covers the Senefu greenstone belt, which hosts the largest gold deposit in Cote d'Ivoire, Tongan, which is about 4.5 million ounces of resources and is in production, producing over 200,000 ounces per annum for Barrick. And then our Furky deposit out here to the east. So just zooming in onto the Bundiali project, is where we have 2 rigs now operating, doing step-out drilling and also resource definition drilling. So initial stream sediment sampling across this project area defined very anomalous catchment areas, which were then followed up with soil geochemistry, which you can see here, and these yellow outlines are the soil anomalies defined by that soil geochemistry undertaken by Turaco Gold 3 to 4 years ago. They then followed up the anomalous soil areas with some initial drilling, and in this little inset box here, they focused on this 9-bow prospect where their soil anomaly extends for about 6 kilometres, and they just drilled the southern 1.5 kilometres of that, and I'll show you some results. We came back with exceptional results and shallow results, and we're looking at stepping out and drilling along the rest of that soil anomaly, and also infill drilling and drilling down dip on the area that was drilled previously. And this structure continues to the north for several kilometres, where there's been no drilling both to the south and to the north there. So it's a significant gold system in our view. So if I just look at the Nyanbo gold discovery, then here is the extent of drilling, that 1.5 kilometres of strike. And as I said, this sits within a 6 kilometre long soil anomaly, which may be more extensive as we do further soil sampling to the south, but from soil grid at the moment already extends over 6 kilometres. So just 1.5 kilometres of that being drilled, and you can see all the drilling here and some of the results. Now, what's to note is that all of this drilling was initially drilled just to 50 metres, so essentially in the oxide zone, and you can see some of the results there, some broad widths and very high grade results, such as 20 metres at 10 grams per tonne, 30 metres at 8 grams per tonne, 20 metres at 2 grams per tonne, and so forth. And then subsequently that, in a second phase of drilling, Turaco Gold came back and extended some of those 50-metre holes down to 100 to 150 metres depth to test for the extension of this oxide mineralisation into the fresh rock. And that demonstrated that mineralisation and high-grade mineralisation does extend at depth, with results such as 9 metres at 7.9 grams per tonne in the fresh rock as primary mineralisation. So we've got an RC rig now drilling here that's looking to infill these 80-metre spaced shallow previous drilling, and also to look at drilling some of these very high-grade oxide results down into the fresh rock. And we expect to start releasing results from that drilling shortly, and hopefully we'll be able to quickly move this discovery into a JORC resource in the not too distant future. But in addition to that, as I mentioned, that drilling extends over 1.5 kilometres of a 6 kilometre soil anomaly, and a very prospective structure as we move to the south there. So in addition to the RC drilling, we have an air core rig that is drilling step out broad spaced lines both to the south of that historical drilling and to the north to test the rest of this structure over several kilometres. And we also hope to report results from that air core drilling and demonstrate that this is a very significant gold system and a very significant discovery, and report results over the next few months from that drilling. So that is our primary focus over the next few months, is on the Bundiali project, where we have a big discovery, and we're undertaking resource and step out drilling at the moment. Then after the wet season in Cote d'Ivoire, come November, we'll also look to start drilling at our second core project over to the east at the Thurkey Gold Project here. So here, once again, soil geochemistry was undertaken by Turaco Gold about 3 years ago, which was following up on a stream sediment sampling program they undertook. And that soil sampling program defined a 16-kilometre long anomalous gold corridor. They followed that up with some reconnaissance drilling and some trenching, where they discovered the Wahiri South discovery, and undertook a program of 18 diamond holes across this. And those diamond holes return results such as 25 metres at 3 grams per tonne, 14 metres at 10 grams per tonne, 45 metres at 3 grams. So shallow, broad, high-grade results. That drilling was undertaken over about 300 metres of strike, which was the extent of an outcropping granite body that was hosting the mineralisation that was defined from trenching. Subsequent IP has indicated that that granite body may be more extensive at depth, but that is yet to be tested with drilling. There's also the potential to find several of these granite plugs, mineralised plugs, along that 16-kilometre corridor, which has yet been tested with drilling. So that will be a focus for Turaco Gold going forward once the wet season in Cote d'Ivoire passes from November onwards. We have our Bundiali drilling, and then we expect to start drilling here at Thurkey around from November onwards. And it's already a significant discovery, and hopefully we can define resources here very quickly as well, just like Bundiali. Our Tongan North project, the third project of the companies in northern Cote d'Ivoire, and all of these projects are located within a 100-kilometre radius. The Tongan North project is an earlier stage project, but a consolidated position of nearly 2,000 square kilometres now, where there is significant soil anomalism that is yet to be followed up, as you can see on the map here. And so this will be shallower auger and some air core drilling that the company will systematically undertake over the next 6 to 12 months. We also, outside of those 3 core projects, as I touched on at the start, have an extensive land holding throughout the country. One of those projects is the Erbunia Project, which is located in the central part of Cote d'Ivoire. This is a project where we recently put out some results from an initial soil sampling program, where we've defined several plus 1 kilometre plus 100 ppb gold anomalies within the Erbunia permit, with up to 19 grams per tonne in soil sampling. There's been no drilling undertaken on this permit, and we're just embarking on the initial auger drilling, which should be followed by an RC drilling program later in the year. That Erbunia project is very exciting. It sits along strike from the Turaco project of Endeavour, which sits at 2.5 million ounces at about 2.5 grams per tonne. So a very well-located project with very exciting soil geochemistry, and a very much an emerging project for the country, for the company, for Turaco Gold, which I think you'll see news flow from the company reported on this project over the next months, coming months, and this will, I think, emerge into a very exciting and core project for the company. So just in summary, Turaco Gold is the largest landholder in Cote d'Ivoire with over 8,000 square kilometres. There's already 2 gold discoveries, which are very significant, both in scale and grade, where we're drilling now, and we'll report results continuously from those gold discoveries over the coming months, whilst we undertake reconnaissance exploration across the rest of our package. We're well funded to undertake this exploration with just over $6 million in the bank. And we have a management and technical team that's proven success in Cote d'Ivoire. Thank you for your time today.